All right, welcome everybody to our regular meeting for the City Council of the City of Perry. Let's go ahead and call our meeting to order and have roll call.
Coffee.
Here.
Bledsoe.
Here.
Marshall. Here. Davis. Here. Coldarn.
Here.
Rupp.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Brown. Here. Wortham.
Here. All right, we've got quorum. Gloria, would you offer our invocation?
Okay, let us pray. Father, I just come before you this evening with a heart of thanksgiving and praise for your many blessings, and thanking you, Lord, for the city of Perry, and so thankful that I live in a town that people care about people. I thank you for your many blessings, and I ask, Lord, as a council who's been put in charge of making decisions that govern our city, that you lead, God, and direct us in our hard decisions. I ask you that you surround us with your favor. I ask, Lord, that I know that you are our provider, and you've given creative ways for our town to be provided for, and we're so thankful for that. We ask you now for wisdom and for you to bend our hearts for decisions that please you as we conduct tonight's meeting, and we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Gloria. All right, item 1, our consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
All right.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall. Yes. Davis. Yes. Coldarn.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Wortham.
Yes. All right, item 5, proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. And you've got a commendation for us this evening.
I actually wanted to mention that during the Main Street banquet, our fire department and our wonderful gentlemen were actually honored with an award for basically whenever we go, we need help. A lot of times they are always there to help us. A little bit of muscle when we need it. So they were actually given an award at the Main Street banquet. And I hope everybody got to be there because that was one magical night.
It was awesome.
was.
Yeah.
Really awesome.
I just wanted to mention that tonight.
All right. Thank you for that. Moving on, we have our Chamber of Commerce quarterly reports. Are you giving that, or is the chamber here?
No.
Oh. Council reports. Ward 1. Scott, Gloria?
I don't have really anything except that I do want to thank the Main Street for all their efforts for such a wonderful night. It just made me realize, in a lot of our Hallmark movies where they're downtown as their gathering place for the community, and I just hope to see more of that in Perry, and I think we are seeing more of it because it just brings people together, and it just made me so thankful and grateful to be there and to have young people that were raised in our community rise up and take their place of leadership. It just warms my heart so much, and helps me as an much older person, to look back and see that as I've served, that it's continuing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thank you, Gloria. Scott?
So mine it's already in here for, I think Nate's gonna talk about it later, but several people were complaining about America's Best Inn. Almost said the wrong word. Anyways, that was it.
Yep. An update on that will be coming today. Yep, a
Yep.
little bit later. All right, Ward 2, Austin?
I don't have anything.
No? Joe?
I don't really have anything other than, if you didn't notice, I don't think this is actually my award, but Ivanhoe towards the fairgrounds is closed down right now. I'm hoping it'll be open today or this evening for tomorrow, but I think that was a couple of days earlier than they had called and warned us about, so that is closed down. And then just kind of keeping some things on the minds of people at the fairgrounds. They are expecting to have the haunted barn the 25th, 26th, 27th, and then on the 31st as well, and the 26th is when the Halloween or the Fall Festival is going to be. That's where they have the trunk or treat things for the young kids
Is
to
that
come out
the
and enjoy.
campfire, or is that something different? Is
The-
that campfire or something?
The campfire is
Yeah.
involved with that. It's actually put on by the Noble County 4-H Teen Council. That's all I got.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Ward 3, Randy?
I don't know if I've got anything to add, other than the fact that the Main Street banquet was wonderful. And it shows what you can, how neat you can make an event with just human horsepower and without spending a lot of money. Because it looked pretty in the daylight, and then once they turned on the lights, it was fantastic. Of course, it was a perfect evening, but I've lots of people comment on how well that went and how proud they were for that to be in Perry and to be a part of it. So thank you to Main Street for that.
All right, thank you.
I kind of ditto the same thing about the banquet. I was talking to somebody today, and she said she really wanted to call like the news stations to come do a flyover and look at how beautiful it was and show off our town, that it was the hallmark moment, you know. I was like, yeah, it was pretty cool. And the music was good too.
Yeah, real good.
Yeah. All right, Ward 4, Sam?
That was the only thing I was gonna add is Kyle Nix. It was great to have him back and local boy and playing for us at that. It was an awesome event. So.
All right, good deal. Thank you, everybody. Kind of going along with the Halloween thing that Joe was talking about, that reminded me that, so as part of the chamber, the Halloween on the Square is Thursday, the 31st, from 5:30 to 7:30. And they are partnering with Main Street to do that. And so I know that always has a big turnout as well. A lot of kids going down for that. And then, yeah, with the Main Street thing, even I was saying in the comments that I made at the banquet, there was right before the banquet had gotten started, there were some folks from out of town that they just kind of stopped over at Love's and then decided to move further into town just to check it out. And it happened to be that night. And I mean, they made comments as well. I was like, wow, do you guys do this often? Is this something you guys do? And it's, yeah.
Every week?
This is what we've
Yeah,
been
every
doing
week.
lately.
Every week.
Every week.
We like
Need to come
to.
back.
Right.
But no, it's impressive that people are taking notice of things that are happening in Perry, and it's exciting. So I mean, and from a city standpoint, you know, the more that we can do to support those sort of events and that sort of draw is bringing outside dollars into our city, which really helps. So yeah, kudos to Main Street for all the work that they did on that, and hopefully we see more of that.
Well, and once you mentioned that Halloween
Mhm.
night around the square, sometimes I don't think we realize how special an event that is.
Right.
I mean, I know people that come in from out of town
Mhm.
because they know their kids are safe, they're with their kids.
Yeah.
It's a safe environment and just a great draw
Yeah.
for this town.
Yeah, and that's not just open to businesses on the square, that's open to any business or anybody that wants to be a vendor or be a part of that. They can contact the chamber and get a spot around the square and hand out candy. It's a long line and a long procession going around the square when that gets going.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And it's just gotten bigger and bigger every year. So it's fun event. All right, moving along, our committee reports. Do we have anything from the zoning and planning?
We haven't met since our last meeting.
Okay.
Unless you had anything to.
No, I don't think, you guys didn't meet last time to finalize the rules, right?
Well, that was HP.
Yeah,
The zoning.
Oh, yeah, zoning
Yeah.
plan, we haven't,
zoning had,
no, we haven't.
but talking about HP.
They're getting a couple of things together, and we'll have another meeting when they get it together for
Yep.
PUD and special, whatever the.
Special
permit.
use permits.
So
Okay,
we'll meet about that when we get that together. So,
all right. So yeah, anything for HP?
We've met a couple times going over the bylaws, hopefully have that finalized in the near future.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just say it's a really big undertaking, right,
Mhm.
what they're tackling. So it's not that they're slacking or anything. There's a ton of content
Right.
to go through and say, oh yeah, we want this to apply to, you know, our historic district, but this we're not going to apply. It's a lot of work. So thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and move right along to item number 6, our city manager report and updates.
Yeah, so I have a few things I wanted to discuss. The first is there's been a little bit of skepticism about our plan to do our own streets here in the city. And so to kind of curtail that, we actually want to do a practice street this season before winter comes. And what we're hoping to do is 5th Street between Odo and Noble, which is right by that daycare. And the way we're going to do it, because we don't have all the equipment yet, but we want to rent the final piece that we need, which is the asphalt layer, to do that street. We think it'll probably take 2 days, because they'll have to drive to Oklahoma City to get that piece of equipment and bring it back, so we'll probably have to rent it for the 2 days.
So are we going to do that ourselves, or is Blackwell going to come down and help us out?
We'll do it.
We'll do it?
Yeah, we'll do it ourselves. The guy who we're renting from says he's happy to come out and show us how to use that piece of equipment and walk us through that process. The streets crew feels really comfortable doing that. They feel like they learned everything they need to from Blackwell, but we do have them as a resource if they do have questions. So I was on the phone with Chuck up there the other day, and he's happy to. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Do you
go ahead.
know when that'll be?
Yeah, so Vernon and his crew are fixing the pipe before we do that, and that will be this week that they'll have that done. And then it's just a matter of scheduling the asphalt, and that'll depend on when Evans is doing it. But we anticipate just this month in October is
Okay.
the goal. So.
So we'll get another week or so of warm weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm watching that closely. It looks like we'll get it. So.
And then with that, is that street going to be closed? Is that going to disrupt that daycare
Yeah, so
at
we'll
all?
have to communicate with the daycare and figure out what's going to work best for them. But I think they'll be excited enough to work with us on it, because that road's pretty bad.
And the Head Start.
Yeah.
It's early Head Start and daycare.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so yeah, we will be reaching out to them and working with them to make sure it goes as smoothly as possible.
All right. If anything, the kids will be excited to watch everything happening right outside.
Yeah.
So this is east of the ball field?
No.
Yeah.
West.
Be west.
West of the
West.
softball.
West
Next
of the,
street.
yeah. West of that.
Used to be Teddick's Daycare.
Hmm.
That helps,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Want to straight those straight.
I was, I
So
thought
we
that-
maroons down
It
I
used to be
thought the
the
Head
Teddick.
Start was straight east of the ball field. So-
Early Head Start. They have an
Okay.
early Head Start
Okay.
and a regular Head Start.
Yeah, so that's the first thing I have. The second is we reached out to ODOT regarding the intersection at 77 and 15th to try to get a lane added, a turn lane there. We're waiting to hear back from them. They're going to do a study to see wrecks in that area, and that's how they base funding. They'll say, oh, if there are enough wrecks in that area, and I don't know the threshold they use, but then they'll pay for the repainting. If there's not, then they're still happy to do it, but they require us to pay for the repainting. So we'll see what their study comes back with, and then look at costs, see if it's something that's worth doing for us or not. But I know that a couple of residents have reached out about that, and we did look into it. So next thing I have is the sidewalk projects. So I found out today that we got approved for the 7th Street sidewalk. So we have that grant coming. I don't remember the amount exactly. I tried to follow up with Robert on that. He's the one who did the application for us, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet. But I know we got approved for it. As far as the interviews, which is the next step in that process, we're going to be interviewing 4 firms on the 22nd of this month to talk to them and figure out which one we want to use for these sidewalk projects. So some exciting things there. And then the last thing is America's Best Hotel. I know that there's been a lot of concern with that, and I think rightly so. Our contract with them has said, hey, you guys need to move, you need to get this done. We realize that they haven't followed through with that as well as we would have wanted them to. Unfortunately, the recourse for that would be legal action, which our courts, we all know, are super fast. Not really, right? They take forever. So the best alternative is actually for us to, rather than go a legal route, is to just work with them and try to encourage them to move faster. So Bryce has done a really good job at that, reaching out to the developer there. He has a little bit of a report on those conversations. Do you want to give it?
Sure, yes.
Isn't that on the agenda item?
If you've driven by there, there's a heavy piece of equipment out there
Oh, is there now?
right now. And Brian Henry says that that A-frame structure, most of it was taken down either this weekend or sometime. I have a picture of the heavy equipment here, which he sent me. I wanted to make sure that that we had some action. I told him you better have something done today. And so, you know, that's a little bit bigger than that piece of equipment that he had before. I don't know if
Oh,
all
it's
of you
just a
have,
pickup truck before.
yeah, if all of you have seen
Mayor,
it, but
he actually texted me today at 4 o'clock and said, my contractor, we've sent new peak machinery, they're gonna start working, they may work in the late evening, if there's any concern to let him know, so he's
Okay.
on it, so.
he also talked about working with his architect. They need to get with the ODOT because if they're gonna, you know, make turning lanes, which can accommodate trucks, he wants me or, you know, Nate to help him get with the division engineer and to work on that. So, I mean, you know, he paid, you know, 7 figures for that property. You've got to be serious to pay that kind of money for that. It is a shame that the demolition and cleanup hasn't occurred, but he said plan to clean it in 1 week.
One week?
Yeah, so let's see what it looks like next
Ow.
Monday. He's going to get right after it. And everything sounded good. He had been away out of the country, and you know, that's what he said, but he has responded by email. He called me and then he sent me photographs today, and of course I saw the equipment when I came to town. So you know, I think he's being responsive, and I think that project is still underway. Of course, the first part of it is done, and that is that, you know, American Inn, and with all of the vices which the police department and I were monitoring kind of in a serious way prior to that time, cannot be going on out there right now because there's little or no place for that kind of nonsense. So I feel better about it.
Thanks, Bryce. Any questions on that?
You know, I drove by there several times on Saturday and saw activity. I couldn't tell if there was much progress necessarily, but there was a lot of movement in there, so just that much was promising. I've got a question about sidewalk. We back up on
Yeah,
it.
we can.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, you said we got approval for the 7th Street project. Where are we on some of the other projects, like the extending it all the way out on Fur to the...
So those are we're combining at least the 2, which is the one on Fur and the one on Lopes, in these interviews. I'm hoping now that we got approved for this other one, we'll hopefully be able to combine the 3 of them in terms of interview and just one for him to do the 3 projects.
So this is interviewing for engineering or for the actual
Contractor.
construction?
Yeah, I think it's the actual construction.
No, it would only be the landscape architect or engineer. The
Oh, it's just engineering.
ODOT does the project, as you know.
okay.
ODOT does that works, but we do the you know, our guy does the engineering, and then it gets bid out by ODOT
So we're interviewing for the engineering.
for the engineering.
We'll do the engineering and then
Yeah.
ODOT will actually do the, okay. Yeah, I haven't, so I've come on.
Yeah, you haven't done one
Yeah, I
yet.
haven't done it. Okay, thank you.
And that's where sometimes the disconnect is,
Right.
you know, and that is another entity is doing it, and that's why when that occurs, we need to make sure that we're with the division engineer, whoever's assigned so that they're not cutting lights and,
Yeah.
That's what I was
You
gonna say.
know.
We had some trouble last time. We need to make
and all
sure
of that. Yeah, we need to make sure that our public infrastructure that's in the right of way is respected.
And that's on Locust and on Fir? Would be-
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Even ODOT's over
It's
that
all
one
from
too.
the same grant.
Okay.
Oh, okay. It's based on the grant, not who owns the right of way necessarily.
Right. in this case.
Okay.
Yeah, it's ODOT, it's ODOT right away. Lucas, of course, we have it, but we have a right to place in the ODOT right away.
Am I wrong? Am I misspeaking on the Locust one?
Oh, what's that?
The Locust isn't ODOT right away, but.
That's correct,
we
that's
still-
our right way.
That grant still funnels the
Through
same way,
them.
right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
And they're all done by ODOT.
Okay, making sure I wasn't wrong.
That's all I have.
All right.
As a reminder, what street was it on 7th? From what street to what street?
On 7th, it's
From
from,
Locust
oh, what street is that? Right next to First Bank and Trust.
Delaware.
Delaware. So it's from Delaware, and they're going to Ivanhoe.
To Ivanhoe or all the way down to Locust?
No, we couldn't make it to Locust. It was
Oh,
too
we-
much money.
Okay.
We're going to Ivanhoe.
Okay. But eventually maybe we can
Yeah.
finish that,
That's
get
a
that
plan.
connected.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a plan. But yeah, we exhausted the amount of the grant just going to Ivanhoe.
Okay.
Now, if it's good bids, sometimes
They'll continue.
they will continue. I mean, I've seen that occur.
In this economy?
I mean, we're the place that got a bid for $1 million under the engineering estimate, and I've been
Right.
telling that story everywhere,
Right.
on the hospital.
Would it be valuable to ask questions through the engineering phase to get those couple extra blocks?
Yeah, 'cause that's
done?
what, 3 extra blocks? 2.
It probably would be valuable. While they're doing it, they might as well knock it out, We
Right.
don't want to repeat of one project where they
Actually, no, yeah.
put in they put in the pipe but didn't connect the
Yeah.
mains,
Right.
just because it was out of the scope.
Right.
Yeah, I'll ask, hey, what would it cost to just do those,
Right.
engineer those extra couple of blocks?
Because that would be nice to have that.
Because
I'm really
together.
excited that because of the doctor's offices and the eye doctor and those, that sidewalk is so dangerous, and I've been so afraid somebody's gonna fall and hurt themselves.
Oh, yeah.
and,
Yep.
and I know at Sandra, they will a lot of times walk their patients out of their car and help them down that rugged stuff.
Yeah, it's really goofy the way it's set up right now, and it makes it really dangerous because it's got the one drop and then a little bit further is another.
Every 20 feet, it's a different.
Yeah.
It's 2 steps in one place and 1 in another.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be nice to get some of that cleared out.
That Locust project goes up, it does go north up to the Christ Lutheran too, so I mean, that would
Correct.
connect quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, we connect back to the elementary, junior high school too on Locust, get it all the way there. So
Yeah, this would be huge.
natural walking circle there.
Yeah.
You could walk all the way around town
Yeah.
on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I wonder how many miles that would be.
That'd be a fun fact. Let's put it down.
Too many to walk.
You can post that on maybe like little signs along around there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
All right. Well, thank you, Nate. Anybody have further questions for Nate? No. All right. Item 7, CFO remarks and monthly invoice.
So for the month of September, which is the invoice that you'll have, we did monthly work. You'll know that you've seen quite a bit of work on rates. That was a significant part of the bill. And then the finalization of the 9/1 agreement. Well, I don't know if you all approved it tonight, but that's on the agenda. So those were big focuses. The most exciting thing that I have to say is I think we're going to have the FY23 audit for you tomorrow. Nate signed off on the reportation letter this afternoon, and Christy got it sent over to Jana. I am waiting on a final release from Jana to send the report, but we should finally have that one done. And along those lines, we also have work about 85% complete on the 24 audit. So she probably won't come and present the 23 audit because we're so close on 24, she'll do them both together at the same time. And at this point, the 23 numbers are very stale, so I don't know if they add much value at this point. But anyway, it's almost done. We are almost to the finish line, which I'm very excited about. So. Oh, you don't have it yet. I've got gotta have the final 3 pages from her, which are the signed opinions, which is the most important piece.
All right, well, thank you, Meredith. Any questions for Meredith? All right. Item 8, presentation of city attorney report and monthly invoice.
Well, next month you'll have a much shorter monthly invoice because on the 16th I'm going to Egypt and I'm going to tour the pyramids and do the Nile. Yeah, I know. My wife's insisted she don't think I'm going to live long, so she's two bucket lists a year, or either she wants to go there, but then Jordan and out in the desert and going to Petra, so it ought to be pretty exciting. So I'll really only have a half a month here. I've already commented on American Inn. On the cottage edition, I've contacted and called Willard, and actually I'm meeting in another community. He told me he's waiting on the appraisal and he's working with the bank. Everything depends on your financing. He doesn't expect any problems there, but if you've been up there, you've seen nothing's really started yet. So that's still, we have approved that. We have approved the agreement. It is signed. Right, yes, and in place, and it's just, some final stuff on those, on the financing for the project. I have petitioned for gun auction. It's really not a gun auction. We have decades of guns in the evidence room, and it's time to have the court order those guns to be sold. Or if some of them can be returned to their lawful owners, that's what occurs. A lot of them were seized in criminal cases. But, in case anyone asks, there will be something in the newspaper. There'll be a list of weapons. There'll be a list of people. There will be a hearing before the court. And at that point, if somebody wants to levy an interest, they can come up and levy an interest. Otherwise, you will assist in directing how those guns are sold and the money is placed in the general fund, although I'll tell you that...
Do we have to sell them?
No, you don't have to. You can trade them. You can
destroy them?
Some of the weapons probably should be destroyed. But, some of them can be sold for trade-ins on other weapons. But that's all within your jurisdiction, of course, within the jurisdiction of what the court says. So that will be coming. I did want to tell you about that. With respect to planning, zoning, and ordinances, we did that PUD ordinance. We did the technology fee increase that you have approved. But we did historical preservation agenda, and I attended that meeting. We did the management rights ordinance amendment, which we're going to talk about today, and I have kind of negotiated that with Dobson. I worked on rates, not only then, but I've worked on rates some today, and I worked through a use by review application for a nonprofit entity. We did finalize the 911 agreement, and we probably need to re-review and kind of tee up, if we get this passed, the detention services agreement, which is the agreement for which we place folks in the Noble County Jail. As you know, all of that concerning jails has been removed from E911. That's what was asked for, so that's what we have done. There's some oil and gas bonding work that I've gotten almost done. We did a contract with William Sheets for our water structure project, and you've authorized in that meeting to have Nate sign anything pursuant to that agreement. So we're doing that, and then I help, putting together city council meetings and your PFA Holdings Inc. agenda, and also attended the strategic meeting. So I will be back for the first meeting in October. I'm just coming back that weekend, so I'll have a suntan and plenty of stories. I've got my Indiana Jones
Which he
whip.
doesn't have.
I have my Indiana Jones hat. I have it all. The pictures will be wonderful from the pyramids. So
Bryce is really, you seem really nervous about missing this council meeting because he never misses.
no, I hate to miss meetings, but you know, if it's a budget, if it's a bucket list, you gotta go. So.
No, if your wife says you have to go, you have
That's
to.
right.
Exactly, let's be honest.
Well, then, are you sure she loves you? You're going to the Middle East right now?
Yeah, I know.
Is she going with you?
Yeah, they only dropped
That's what she's telling him right
250
now.
bombs on Israel. Yeah, we're going to be by the Red Sea in Jordan, so,
Wow.
but it's planned, and we didn't buy any insurance, so there you go.
I'm going no matter what.
I'm going.
That's all we're gonna
so.
lose is money.
Does anyone have any good life insurance? It's funny.
If there's any questions.
All right, any questions for Bryce? No?
You got my ticket,
All right.
right?
Thank you, Bryce. All right, item 9, receive update on Denal Point LLC on status of demolition and disposal efforts on former site of American Inn, and general update, which we've kind of done. Is there anything outside of what we talked about?
No, not really, unless you had questions.
Yeah, any
Yeah, sorry,
any questions
jump
on
in.
that?
What was our reimbursement? What was that?
It was one half up to $125,000.
And that hasn't been paid, it's paid.
When it's done,
When it's
and
done.
and everything is,
When
Going.
everything's done, yes.
and so he seems to think that he'll be done by the end of the week?
Well, that is what my text says. Hope to be done have it done in 1 week. That's what he said. Not by the end of the week, within 1 week.
So next
7
Monday.
days.
I mean, he definitely, once I got that sent, he's been contacting me. He understands the council's, because we've been very good. I mean, we've been very good to work with, and he wants to keep it that way. As I do.
And I'll say it's not just the council, it's the citizens
The
too. I mean,
community.
it doesn't look good.
Mhm.
No, it doesn't.
And to clarify that, we don't reimburse until there's a certificate of occupancy.
That's
Right.
correct.
Right.
That's what I said, the very end.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to item number 10. Consider approval of ordinance number 2024-20 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 14, Article 4 of the Perry Municipal Code 2022 entitled Rights of Way and Occupancy Management by the deletion of a portion of the definition of rights of way in Section 14-401, subsection L, by the addition of a provision to Section 14-405, subsection A.2, regarding the occupancy fee calculation, and by amendment to Section 14-406, D.1.E, providing that the burial depth of the installed facilities shall be stated on the permit and deemed consistent with the regulations, savings clause, severability, codification repealer, and declaring an emergency.
We have had this right-of-way management ordinance in our code for more than 10 years. And because all of the installations have been on our poles, we have done it through a pole agreement. And you've gotten those from Clarity, Blue Peak. We've had those with the cable company, Optimum now, heck, it's been TCI, it's gone through Cox, it's gone through a lot of different companies. But this is a particular service that is run, did everyone get this?
Yes.
This is handed out, yeah. I mean, this actually shows where it runs. And it's running up to the casino. And it's a fiber line that's a direct ferry in the right-of-way running up to the casino. So we hadn't had this ordinance used before, and quite frankly, I stole the ordinance for another community where Dobson submitted a petition to see how it would work. And Dobson came back with a few amendments. Their run is a lot more than what your run is, and it's going to serve almost that entire community down in Minko, which is west and south of Norman, kind of south of Tuttle. And so I had been working with them on that. The amendments that they've suggested here are less than what they suggested there, but of course that's a smaller community. But I agree with all of them. The First Amendment defines right-of-ways as buildings, parks, property owned or leased by the city. The truth is, I don't know why that provision was ever in there as a definition of right-of-way, because that's not a right-of-way. I'm sure I took this ordinance from a farm ordinance, probably from a national group, and never, specifically read all the words, took it and adopted it because it was a good management right-of-way ordinance. So that's just to clean that up. This one is the Second Amendment really talks about the occupancy fee. The occupancy fee is paid annually to us, and it's based on the linear feet times, I think theirs is going to be 50 cents per linear feet. And that gets paid annually. In this particular amendment just says that calculation is set out in the permit and isn't changed unless the nature of the occupancy is changed, which is just a clarification. The third one really talks about burial depths, but sometimes burial depths, heck, several of you are in the business of burying this kind of cable. Sometimes it can be deeper. It is going to have a wire in it, so it can always be identified, one of those tracer wire, of course. So it can be identified when you come out there and call Okie and the like. And so what we said here is that the burial depth shall be stated on the permit and deemed consistent with these construction standards. They asked for those changes. I didn't see any problem with them. If this does get approved, this will be the first time we've used it. I don't think it'll be the last time we use it. If you remember, Dobson kind of followed Clarity or Blue Peak in, and they wanted to do a fiber run too up on the poles. Our pole space is limited, of course, and our poles, poles are very expensive now to be replaced, and of course there's weight of each one of these installations, and there has to be space for them and the like. And they were only interested in doing a partial build out in the community. And although competition's good at that time, for those of you that might have been on the council, we asked them to bear the cost of a survey to make a determination about whether that new facility was whether we had too much competition in town, and also whether we had room on our poles, which was the key. And they chose not to do that survey for us to make a determination. So now they're back just running this one line to a client, and I think this is the very purpose of this ordinance, and I think it works nicely. And Perry's always worked well with businesses to help them implement.
On this map, this is like the path that's going to get to the casino?
Yes.
Does this mean that homes along this path could get their fiber service, or is that?
No,
just to show which way
it's just going to be direct to serve one client. Yeah.
But it is a start where, it's bringing competition in that could ultimately spread from there, right?
Because the school has gotten a different.
Yeah, the school did. Yeah, the school did get one, but that one was
If somebody else.
hung.
And that was several years ago, correct?
No,
About
Yeah.
6-8 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
That long ago? Yeah, it was recent. Yeah.
Yeah, really, I think my recommendation for approval on this is based on the principle of competition being healthy for a community. It really doesn't help us a whole lot in terms of revenues. It's very small. But I think competition's healthy for a community, and so I'd recommend approval.
So could we open it up to a pilot or something that's along that route if homeowner A chose to purchase from them? They could.
Well, they would entertain, you know, if you wanted to discuss them coming back, you know, into the community and either hanging on poles or because their run in Minko is 10,000 linear feet and then 70,000 aerial, but they work with PSO, who's their electric supplier there. And they're going to serve, you know, literally that whole community down there. So if anybody wants to rediscuss the opportunity for Dobson expansion, I can tell you that we kind of slowed that down, and we can speak to them because they are expanding. You know, they're an Oklahoma City company, and they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, so I guess the answer is not yet, but they might consider it. We were
Right.
gonna ask them.
Well, I have been very happy with Blue Peak, but my bill went up $30 last month. And I just wonder,
Exactly.
I wonder how often that's going to happen when they're the only fiber provider in town.
Right.
Yeah, right now in Enid, they're offering drop it for 4 months down to about $30.
Wow.
Blue Peak is. I mean, I think I'm paying 88 there, so in Enid. But as soon as they, you know, we spoke to our cable company forever. You know, and I represented Enid in that, trying to get them to do fiber, trying to get them to do fiber here. And I just swore I didn't care what the cost was. As soon as someone that was willing to put fiber into a community and I had a right and I had an opportunity to hook up, I was going to get off the cable line because they just would not invest in the community. So I'm big on community investment, and that's what drove my decision. Although, you know, rates are rates. Of course, we have nothing to do with that. Rates competition sets that, but more competition would mean probably better rates, of course.
Yeah, Randy, so let Bryce and I chat with them and see. 'Cause
I know the chief strategist. I've got his phone number on local government strategist on my speed dial. So if you're interested, we could sure ask him what he might be thinking.
Because that's definitely a concern, right? Blue Peak raising it, and as good as they are, we've had some issues at my place with service. They're always really willing, but their follow through is terrible.
Is this something that, underneath in the contract is about depth, it says that with approval of the city engineer, are these plans the engineer will see these plans and make sure that
Yes.
they'll place these in a ditch that we need to cut out, or a drainage situation might come about by placing those in improper places?
Yes. Yes, I mean, that's why the ordinance is written that way, and I have copied him, Matthew, on all of this. I would say before that, we discussed the permit today, before we issue that permit, we plug Matthew into this and make sure that he approves, if this passes. Now, it will be done, if you approve these amendments, this is made to be done administratively.
All right, any other questions?
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-20 with amendments as written.
Second.
Okay, motion and second.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. All right, thank you. Item 11, consider approval of emergency clause for ordinance number 2024-20.
Motion of emergency.
Second.
And Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. All right, item 12, consider approval of the Interlocal Cooperation Act agreement for the provision of E911 services with the Noble County Enhanced E911 Board and the Board of County Commissioners for Noble County, Oklahoma.
Yeah, so this has been a long time in coming. We made a really tight contract and then ended up dialing back the contract a little bit in terms of how tight and specific and long it was. And I feel like it's in a good place. Essentially what's going to happen is with the E911, it's run by the board. We'll make the decision based on board votes, a lot like we do here with the budget. So we'll approve invoices through that. We'll do votes for budget amendments and budget approvals and things like that. And that's the goal of the E911 board. It should increase the revenues by, you said 67%?
67%.
67%.
So we don't have the rate change between the landline and a cell line, and we don't have the breakout of what's what, so,
But we're thinking about 67% is.
yes.
So that would be the revenues, and then in addition to that, the county has agreed to pay 40% of the expenses. So I really do think it's a good deal for us. I'm excited about it. I think Jason's excited about it. He said, Nate, you should take it to the council first because you have more people to convince than I do. So they haven't approved it yet, but I'm bringing it here for approval, and then he's planning on doing it in the next meeting.
Which would be this upcoming Monday.
Tuesday, yeah, I think they have Columbus Day off.
Oh, okay.
So this changes equipment ownership. I guess at that point, ownership, any upgrades will be approved by the board and expenses come from the board.
Yep.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the enhanced E911 board that's been brought before us.
I'll second that.
All right.
Okay, Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. All right.
I'll text him right now, let him know it's approved.
Okay.
I'm
Say
excited.
that out loud.
And, that was just a blight hanging over our heads.
Yeah.
It needs to be done.
We've been working on that for quite a while. And with that, I'm glad to see that partnership with the county.
Yes.
And the county commissioners.
It's been interesting to see that relationship develop with this.
Yeah.
I really think that they were, in their mind, linked. So,
All
Well, I
right.
feel like they felt like they had been listened to.
Mhm. All right, item 13, consider approval of economic development agreement with Ditch Witch.
do you want me to talk on this?
Sure.
So this one, this is for the new Ditch Witch paint facility. Bryce, Russ, and I were talking, and we do have funds in the hotel motel tax to incentivize Ditch Witch to build this, and we can thus waive the fees, which is over $50,000 in fees associated with this kind of a development project.
To incentivize them to build it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're already building it.
Yeah, so that's, and I talked with some council members earlier, and that was kind of the concern is, well, hey, they're already gonna do it, so do we waive these And kind of the consensus we came to as we spoke was that, like with other entities, maybe we waive the internal fees, but we pass on the costs of the hard costs that we actually have to pay. Like the cost to J.C. Carroll, who does the fire side, the cost to Paul Gunnarsson, who does the building inspection side. So yeah, I'm fine either way. I mean, really, it's up to you guys what you want to do, but waiving all the fees would be abnormal. Our relationship with Ditch Witch has always been, really generous. They've been generous to us in the past. Maybe that's dialed back a little bit since Toro acquired them, and maybe it's time for us to dial back a little bit. This would be an opportunity to do that, but really I'm bringing it before you guys to make that decision. So
would this be similar in our other agreements with other companies where we don't waive it, but we reimburse when it's completed?
that would be more in line with what we've done, yeah. It would be wait till they finish it, right? And then say, okay, now that you finished it and we've benefited from it, we're, going to start benefiting from it, we'll give you back some of the cost. So we're doing that with Crows, right? We're doing it with the elementary school development.
Right, the pilot
Yep.
as well.
So, yeah, if we want to treat them exactly like others, we would wait till it's completed. We'd refund our internal costs, but we'd pass on the cost to them that we had to pay those hard costs.
So for the state inspector and those fees.
Yeah.
Did they come to us with this?
Tracy and I chatted about it. I'm not sure I'd say they came to us. I know that they were a little bit upset with how that process went in terms of obtaining their permit, which I think part of that is that they haven't had to do that before. Because like I said, we've always cut down a lot of slack, but this is a really big project. And there were some pieces of it that were just out of our hands. The fire side of it, we didn't have anyone internal to do that. J.C. Carroll had to come in and do that, and because of that, we had to wait on him, which held up the project quite a bit in terms of getting a permit. So yeah, as Tracy and I chatted, said, hey, I can pitch this to council, but ultimately you guys have to make the decision on what you want to do.
You know what the costs are internally versus third party?
Yeah, it's about half and half. So 54,000 total. Almost 18 of that is J.C. Carroll, and then Paul, we figured will bring the cost up to about 25, which would be about half.
When was the last time Ditch Witch had a project like this, where they had this many permits, or because this is a big project that they're doing?
Huge.
We have never permitted one of their projects.
But they've never been on this scale either, right? Or at least not.
I would,
Not in a
they've
long
done,
time.
I mean, they've
So
done,
when it's been years, but when they doubled the size of the office.
Right.
and
yeah,
what-
they've done
Built
some,
the training center.
Right.
Exactly.
yeah, they've done
Even
some
the
big
parking,
buildings,
right.
it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, never's a long word.
Right.
They haven't done one on this scale for quite some
Right.
time.
yeah.
But even then, they would have had to have the state come and do inspections and the fire marshal, right?
They may have. We were not, to my knowledge, we were never, I was never involved in that. It's just like sometimes, it used to be in many communities when the county builds, county is considered a separate government, and you don't get, but, I can't tell you why. I just was never involved, and it wasn't like somebody wasn't paying attention. It's just, they have super professional engineers and they're building it for insurance reasons and safety. They're gold bricking it as much as, they're putting massive amounts of money in it and they're relying on their engineers. But, and I would tell you that, it's only in the last few years that we've gotten really responsible about building official work, firework. It's only been in the last, if I say 10 years, that's actually too many years, okay? But I'll say 10 years that we've been concerned a lot more and have made much more investment. You're spending a lot more investment in code enforcement, building inspections and the like. For the longest time, there wasn't a whole lot of residential building or a whole lot of commercial building, so it was very, very rare. So, somebody who may know better can correct me, but, I can't say that we ever really got, really involved in Ditch Witch buildings. So, that's an easy fix. What we're talking about is waiving the fees as provided in the code. So if we just change this to that we will charge the out-of-pocket charges that's a very simple change. And if somebody wanted to approve this by saying amend the language to the fees as provided by the code to that we will charge only our out-of-pocket charges, then we wouldn't require the building permits to be paid. We would require a plan review, okay? And then if either the fire inspector or the building inspector had to go out there and make inspections, it would be their actual time, which would be substantially less than this number, but more than zero.
Go ahead.
Along those lines, I think it's probably time we revisit our calculations on those. There was a situation when we implemented that situation is different. At least take a look at it and make sure that it still matches what we're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I actually reached out to Blackwell and Kingfisher and said, how do you guys do this? We're gonna communicate, I think, next week and try to understand what they're doing versus what we're doing and if we need to adjust things.
Yeah, our fees were tied to a third-party vendor costs. And of course, now we have, at least for residential inspections, we have an employee that can do that. So for the other, we need to check, what those costs are. But what we're trying to do is realize, what those costs are. Sure.
Yeah, I know that right now they're tied to the International Building Codes standards of how they do it, which I know includes square footage of building being constructed. I'm sure there are other factors there. I don't know them all.
There's a pretty big calculation that goes into it, and it'd be nice if you could figure out a way to cover the cost, but anyone trying to do something has the ability to come up with those numbers when they're planning a project.
How much is the total cost of building that out there? What's the budget for that?
I don't think they've released that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's completely public.
I asked for that number, and that number is proprietary. The number that I was given that I could put in this was 100 or more employees, which is a giant impact, But we had asked for that number, and that's proprietary.
They've gotten some from the state, and that was published, but the total cost, I don't know if that ever was.
I think the one thing that they have published is it's the single largest CapEx that Toro's ever done.
Yeah.
So when you think about when I read through this, I was very excited about this because I would hate to see us get excited about offering this kind of stuff to somebody new coming to town, but we wouldn't offer the same thing to the city's largest employer. Toro has dozens of manufacturing plants around the globe, and no one says that the next line of equipment that we decide to build, that they'll build it here. So I think as a city, we need to make sure we're doing everything we can to be a good partner. I don't want to bend over backwards and do anything crazy, but this seems like an easy way to complement something that organization's doing to try to drive more jobs to this area.
Yeah, no doubt it's going to be a huge economic impact. I think this is kind of a philosophical question for the council that you guys need to decide on is, are economic development agreements going to be more based on enticing new businesses to town or helping current businesses or both? That's kind of the question that you need to get an answer to.
And traditionally, what it's been is enticing businesses and assisting existing businesses, at least, in economic development across the across the state. I mean, you can't forget about your existing business, and certainly not one that every city in the state would love to have. I mean, this is the premier company,
I think this is, I think it's a great thing. I also believe that whether we had permitted, if the city had permitted this or not, they still would have had to pay the state inspector, the fire inspector, and safety inspector to do the job. So the proposal to waive the city fees and pass through those other fees that we were gonna have to incur, to write a check for us to do that. But, to be fair and even keel, I guess, across the board is to do, reimburse those fees after the project is done. That follows suit with what we're doing with everybody else. And I think we need to stay, we need to get more consistent.
We have done permitting differently in the past. I mean, not necessarily reimbursed at the end on permitting.
No, but if we want to be consistent, I agree with Joe.
With what most recently.
Yeah.
Right.
And I agree. I think the stuff that we are going to have to write a check for is completely different. I think we can still show being a good partner by passing those on. Because I don't think anybody out there would want the city to incur extra costs
Right.
unnecessarily.
And, without going into detail, we still do a lot of other things for Ditch Witch that maybe, that we help them a lot, I guess I should say, in other areas.
Yep.
So I don't think that's asking too much. I think it's fair. So do we need to
So with that, would you?
Change the language?
Yeah, would you need to
Change the
change the
language.
agreement to reflect that?
Yeah, you could definitely make a motion that just approves passing on the third-party costs to Ditch Witch. and
out-of-pocket costs.
Out-of-pocket costs and waiving the internals.
And by waiving them, do we mean reimburse them upon completion or just?
It sounds like that's what you guys want to
Okay.
do, which is great. Yeah.
So it's still, yeah, so Ditch Witch would still apply for permit, pay for that, but then upon completion, we would reimburse that back to them
Yep.
that we did internally.
Well, I mean, technically, we'll be getting invoices from third parties, and
Right.
we're gonna have to pay those invoices. So, I mean, in the end, we're gonna have a bill that we're then going to send. And if they want something less than what we said, then they'll sign the agreement and agree to pay the bill. We'll even have an estimate what that is. So it would be that they agree to construct and operate the project and pay the city's out-of-pocket costs.
So then internal costs would be waived, or would they get billed
Yeah.
for that too?
No, only if we had to pay it, only
Right,
out-of-pocket
okay.
costs. And then we agree to do the inspection and at the conclusion, send the bill for only our out-of-pocket costs and all other fees are waived. So that's the way it'll read.
We can certainly write something up and bring it, next time. I don't think Tracy hasn't said there's any rush. I've told staff, hey, issue this permit as if they've paid. I know they'll reimburse us for whatever we require. So if you'd rather we get the language written up as we've discussed and then bring it and then re-vote on it, that's fine too.
As I'm sitting longer, I just wonder how passionate are we that we make it a reimbursement instead of just waiving it?
Right.
In those areas where we've asked for a reimbursement is because we wanted to make sure that something actually happened. This is going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's too many other things in place for it to not happen now, so it's not like we're worried that this won't happen.
Right, right.
Would it be a cleaner transaction if we just said, we're gonna bill you for everything that costs us, and we're gonna waive the internal fees?
Yeah.
What did we do
I
on
like that
projects like
language.
Loves and the school? Do we remember, anybody recall?
Love's got charged. We negotiated down Crow's building right now on the new building. They're sending us the bill, but Richard is agreeing to reimburse us for it, so that's kind of what that one looks like.
Yeah, theirs is pretty much the exact same, except we're giving them land at the end too.
Yeah.
So do we wait and change it, or do we make a motion and change
Well, you
it?
could either pass it as it is. I mean, Ditch Witch is your Vance Air Force Base, Or I know exactly what you want and can bring it back at the next meeting if you prefer to do that, but
Like, I mean, I agree with Randy, it's gonna get built.
Yeah,
I don't find
yeah.
that to be a concern at all.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and I always want to say that I'm not concerned about that. I just want to be consistent.
well, here's the thing about economic development contracts. That's where you don't have to be consistent. You understand that you can't give away public money. I mean you can't, And so in order to do this, you have to contract, and they have to agree. They haven't agreed. I mean, they're going to build it, but they are, in fact, by signing this agreement, agreeing to build it here. I mean, they are going to build it. Okay, so that's a promise. That's a consideration, and in consideration of that, you're saying that you're willing to waive those fees. It would be different necessary with someone else where it wouldn't necessarily be economic development. Now, I suppose you can say, well, Love's is economic development because it's sales tax, and the rodeo arena is economic development because it's tourism, So I guess at some level you can say anything big like that, is. This is 100 job, this manufacturing, this is what everybody wants,
Yeah, this is-
It's
It's not work from home.
this is what everyone wants. So, and that's why when Nate brought it up to me, and knowing the history of it, and knowing the history that we hadn't charged in the past, it made sense on this one to do an economic development agreement, and to waive those fees. But it's certainly okay to charge your out-of-pocket cost to save, the taxpayers that. The one thing that we talked about and that Russ got involved is we do have the motel fees, and part of those fees are economic development. And, this is direct economic development. So, we even had a source where we can make those payments from and feel really good about it, and that was Russ's comments, so.
So we do have the $25,000-ish to pay for these.
Yes, because of savings, about a savings that has occurred, yes.
Yeah, I think maybe from a simplicity standpoint, waiting until we bring the exact language back wouldn't hurt. Totally up to you guys, but I don't think there's any rush for this. Just talking to Tracy.
I just kind of feel like why wait another 2 weeks if we know what we're gonna do?
Okay, yeah, go for it. I'm
I
fine
mean-
with it.
So long as we have the money to cover our
Yeah.
expenses that we have to do for it, which will probably be maybe even the next budget year when the inspections occur. I mean,
Right.
if we're gonna do it, might as well do it now.
So do we just say make a motion to change the language to read waive internal fees,
Out-of-pocket expenses.
out-of-pocket expenses, and pass on the additional cost?
Yeah, pass
Waive
on to third
internal,
party.
pass on and out of pocket.
Out-of-pocket, sorry.
Right.
Or are we just gonna do it? the way it's written and not charge them or reimbursement for the,
Well, the way it's written.
The way it's written is,
everything.
we would charge them everything.
Yeah.
oh, we would
No,
charge?
no,
We would waive it.
Yeah,
We'd waive everything,
everything.
sorry.
the
Yeah,
way it's
That's
written.
what she
yeah,
does.
why would
Right.
that, why, I mean,
And that's at least the way it was, that name added, at least from Russ's and my point of view, it was presented in the way that it is this way because it's appropriate this way. But that is your decision, because economic development is a legislative decision and you're the legislature, so.
So I've got a question. If they were gonna do this tomorrow, would we still have to outsource those 2 inspections?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have anyone qualified to do
Right, to do
especially
that.
the fire side.
Right.
And Brian Henry really, while he has maybe some of the certifications that allow him to do some of the commercial, he doesn't have the experience to do the commercial side on a scale like this particularly. So yes, we would still need to outsource those.
and the reason I ask that is, to me, it would make sense to kind of go ahead and set the precedent that, guys, if you're gonna do one of these gigantic projects, we're gonna work with you on everything that we would charge you for.
Right.
But those external costs, we're a small town, we really gotta pass those on to you.
Right.
Right, yeah, to
Does that
have the
make
state fire
sense?
marshal come do an
Right.
inspection, you'd think that that would get covered. Yeah.
Well, there is a flip side, just a scenario is if we poise ourselves well enough to capture all 100 homes,
That could be huge.
that $25, I don't know what the turnaround on
Yeah,
meters and all that is, but that $25 is not, or $25,000 is not a whole lot,
Yeah.
Mhm.
so.
Why are you always disagreeing with me?
I'm not.
Is it something personal?
So it sounds to me like the majority are in favor of waiving the internal costs and passing on the out-of-pocket third-party costs.
It almost feels like to me that somebody needs to make a motion tonight. and we
I'll
vote
make
on
that
it.
motion
Okay.
what motion is that?
the motion to waive the internal cost and pass on the third-party cost
Second.
for this project.
All right. We have a motion by Joe and a second for Scott.
Copy?
Yes.
Bledsoe?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Calderon?
Yes.
Rupp?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Worthing?
Yes. Okay. Item 14, consider approval of First Amendment to the contract with the Perry Chamber of Commerce for tourism development. And this is just changing the name of the Springfest.
That's
Yeah.
one part of
Yeah,
it.
that's one part of it.
This was written wrong. That's my fault. But it's, instead of striking the whole name, it's just striking the hops. So
Right.
it's changing the name to Springfest Car, Truck, and Motorcycle Show. They specifically wanted that. And then the second one is to nix their quarterly reports. They're wanting to just report after the events, which would be twice annually rather than quarterly. So those are not my recommendations. They're what they're wanting for this contract.
I'm fine with the name change.
I don't mind the name change, but why would they want to
Report
not
less.
give us a direct spending report?
They only want to do it
They-
after
they only wanna do it after.
each event instead of,
Oh, they want to
Quarterly.
do it after every day.
they want to do it after the event. They don't
Yeah.
want to do it on a quarterly basis.
So they'll only report to us twice a year rather than 4 times a year.
And their thought process was, well, you're just paying us to do these two events, so why would we report on more than what you're paying us to do? which I can see that perspective. From our perspective, I think I can see the side of, well, if you want more money, why not come 4 times a year and tell us what the right thing to do?
That's what I was thinking.
But, I mean,
Right.
But if they do other things other than that during the year, I mean, why wouldn't they want to come on a quarterly report and be excited about what they're doing otherwise to keep us informed?
yeah. No, I totally agree, and I think they should, but at the same time, I do see the fairness of the agreement of, yeah, we're paying you to do 2 things, so. And if we pass this through, I'm happy to tell them, hey, council, you know, was wondering why you guys wouldn't want to come 4 times a year if you're wanting more funding.
Right.
But we did, you know, sign it as is.
Yeah. If we could pass this and just encourage them, we would love to hear more from you.
Mhm.
And were they supposed to be here tonight and didn't show up?
When did they let everybody know and they're just not here?
I actually called Kaylee right before this meeting, didn't get a response.
Haley brought the reports and said, here's the quarterly reports.
What?
She just brought the reports and said, here was the quarterly reports. I think
It seems like there is some internal stuff going on.
My gut feel is that we pass this
Yeah.
and then give a list of expectations if there is a future agreement to be had.
Right. Well, yeah. I'd say that we pass this, and then if they want more funding in the future, they'll have to.
And that's really what they asked for when they
Step
were
up
here,
to the
was
plate
a
on it.
list of expectations.
Right.
The flip side is there's not that many more opportunities before the next contract anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just want everything on the table.
Yeah. Is there a target on me or something?
All right. Well, we have a motion for what's been presented.
I would move that we make these changes that they've asked for.
It needs to be amended with the new name
Right.
as opposed to being stricken.
Right.
If you don't mind when you're.
Yep.
No, I don't mind a bit. I move that we
I'll make a
approve
friendly
these changes.
amendment to your motion.
There you go. As long as
Eric's
it's
gonna
friendly.
fix what you're.
It's a friendly amendment to your
Yeah.
motion.
You could have talked all night and not said
That's
that.
how we're landing tonight.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, gotcha.
So Sammy's got the second on that.
All right. Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. All right. Item 15, any new business? Nope. Item 16. All right. Yep, we did. It was Sammy and then, or Danette and Sammy.
Sorry. I
Take your
was-
pick.
Okay. Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Calderon.
Yes.
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Yes.
Williams,
I must be in a hurry.
Brown,
Separate those two.
Worthing.
Yes.
No, she didn't say my name yet.
He was yes. I'm ready.
All right, let's call our meeting to order for the Perry Municipal Authority, October 7th, 2024, and have roll call.
Coffee,
Here.
Bledsoe,
Present.
Marshall,
Here.
Davis. Here. Calderon.
Here.
Rupp,
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Brown. Here. Worthing.
Here. All right, we've got quorum. Item 1, consent agenda.
Motion to approve?
Second.
And Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Calderon.
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes. Okay. Item 6, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Calderon.
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Worthing.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let's call our meeting to order for the Perry Facilities Authority and have roll call.
And Coffee.
Here.
Bledsoe.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Davis. Here. Goldar.
Here.
Rupp.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Wortham.
Here. Item 1, consent agenda.
Motion to approve?
Second.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown. Wortham.
Yes. Item 6, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Everybody seconds.
Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
No.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams. Brown.
What's the
Wortham.
Yes.